Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar. This is Amy Menninger, and I'm with Arthur Tang, Managing Director of ISEC7 North America. ISEC7 helps clients with mobile strategy, business process mobilization, and mobile security, and our headquarters are in Baltimore, Maryland. Today we're presenting information on our mobile IT monitoring and management with ISEC7 EMM suite. ISEC7 EMM Suite is a comprehensive enterprise mobility management solution for migrations, monitoring, and managing mobile infrastructures and networks. In the next couple minutes, we will walk through features including centralized controls, early detection, and end-to-end visibility of mobile enterprises. Just a quick note before we get started, if you have questions during the presentation, simply place them in the chat box of the WebEx control panel. We'll answer the questions at the end, as well as send an email of the FAQ with all questions and answers after the webinar. So without further ado, I'll turn the time over to Arthur Tang. Arthur?
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for your time, everybody. Sorry, speaking on the mute there a little bit. What we're going to spend our time today is looking at ISEC7 EMM Suite. We're overlay on top of your enterprise mobility infrastructure. So we're talking about servers, firewalls, air interface, wireless MDM NOCs, devices down to users and applications. And like what Amy says, what we're going to cover today in this demo is centralized control, early detection, and your true end-to-end mobility monitoring. So any question, feel free to drop it into the chat box, and we'll go ahead and answer them at the end of every section there. So what you're now looking at is our EMM Suite console of our lab environment. So typically what you would see is, on this left-hand side, you'll see our navigation column here. Here we have all the environments that we're currently monitoring. So we start with your BlackBerry AirWatch, UEM, Good Dynamics, GFE, MobileArm, MAS360, Zen Mobile, and then other component is your mobile data supply chain. So including your mail server, your SQL server, the web servers, and then what we have down here is some of the file server that's part of our mobile data supply chain. So every component of our mobile experience is affected by these servers or being served by these servers. So we make sure that is part of the mobile data supply chain, and we monitor their health and status of each of those items. So that is a very server-centric view of it. And then now the majority of your screen is your device and user-centric information. So this is broken down with the user, or rather for management of the users in mind. So you can tell, your applications that's deployed and in an MDM control space, what kind of devices that's on your infrastructure, and then we can break down your individual MDM. So your BlackBerry UEM is serving so many devices. And then lastly, at the bottom is the overall summary of all your users on your being monitored by your mobility infrastructure. So typically, what this lends itself to are environments that have multiple MDMs. So we eliminate the need for a lot of switching back and forth between an AirWatch console and a BlackBerry console, or multiple MDMs where you have to do one task in one MDM and another task in another. we eliminate that need here, so we can do it from our centralized console here. So any management of the users can be done from this, and we can just look up a user or a group of users, and we can manage them from here, regardless of the supporting MDM behind it. Amy, do we have any question in the centralized control portion?
Not at this time.
Okay. So moving on to early detection of point of failures. What our solution does is it gives you a fairly good idea of once you have the configuration for threshold settings and all that stuff in your environment, our system will proactively find issues. Any of those thresholds. If your file servers are getting to a point where you're running out of memory, you see the host details, it gives you an opportunity to address these concerns before it becomes an outage. So what you're looking at is the host information of our UEM core server here. And then we have obviously the server detail that's tied to this particular server. So giving you a fairly good idea of what goes on in the infrastructure. And then when it comes to alerting, you get to see notifications. You get an opportunity to customize a number of these notifications. So here is a lot of our error messages, proactive alerting. You're able to go ahead and make changes to this and tie in knowledge-based information, and then this way, when your support team gets these alerts, they're able to go ahead and address the issue a lot better than just escalating a ticket saying they had a problem. They can escalate the ticket and say, we had this issue, and according to the alert, it's this, and this issue, giving your team ability to troubleshoot, get a leg up on the troubleshooting process, and overall reducing the overall troubleshooting time. So, with our solution, we're able to do a number of early detection, and then obviously there's the reactive alerting that our system can do for you. And when this solution is deployed, because it sits over a number of MDMs, email servers, all the SQL servers, we have insight into the entire mobile data supply chain. So when it comes to troubleshooting, we're able to eliminate a lot of the troubleshooting effort that needs to go on between the multiple users. So we're talking about your support engineer, your support team, anybody, your architect. We eliminate the need to ask those folks questions. So whoever picks up the ticket, they're able to do research, and it's based on users. It's, again, very user-centric. So all the support team would have to do is look up the user that dialed in for an issue. Let's say Michael in this instance. Michael called in for an issue. What we have to do is we pull up his profile. Gives you a fairly good idea of his information that's tied back to the MDM server. So in here, we're looking at his latest information on his BlackBerry UEM. So the group that he's tied to, BlackBerry BDM Enterprise, Dynamics, he's tied to our global organization and a US organization, and he's on an iPhone 10. Gives us an idea of his policies tied to it, and the serving BlackBerry environment that's serving his device, and then lists a little bit information in terms of last connection to our our system. So you have a fairly good idea of what's going on there. And then at the device level, you guys see, what the device is, what are the applications that's specific to his organization or policy tied to. You can drill down further to see what those applications are and the last time they synced with the system. And then where it really becomes important is we're able to tell every single log line that's tied to this particular user across every single element of the mobile data supply chain. So here we see all successful log entries here. We're able to go backtrack all the way back to the proxy and see if there was any issue. It would come up here in this status report. Right now it's just a warning of we're 6 milliseconds over the threshold that we've configured. So going back to his log line, so typically when an issue does come up, it comes up here, and then it also gives you the relevant elements, network elements that it touched on. So in this is like the BlackBerry proxy server, the gem server, and the application that's actually tied to. So you can go to the application, and it'll give you and it'll bring you back here where it'll give you the information on this particular user and this particular application. In terms of last failure, last success, all tied back here. If there's any administration that needs to happen, you wouldn't have to go back into the, let's say in this one, the BlackBerry UEM console. You can administer the user right from here, whether it be creating a new password, assigning a new IT policy, tie them to a new group, or whatever have you. We can manage those users from here, and then we would be able to do the same for all the other related MDMs, so the likes of AirWatch, Mobile Iron, Mass 360. You'll be able to tie it into the same type of console, allowing you complete control, understanding how to make changes without having to flip back and forth. And then there's also the element of being able to check the data flow at every juncture between your device and the server that supports it. No, got a little bit, a lot of information there. Amy, you have a question?
I do. I have a question. One asked for, can you blacklist an app?
Can I blacklist an app? So that is typically done through the MDMs. What we can do is we can put that app into our compliance monitor. Where is it? Here it goes. So we can put it in here. We can see when it's out of compliance. So when someone installs an app, our system would see it. But in terms of blacklisting, that has to be done at the MDM level. So the way EMM Suite works is we sit above it and we monitor all the MDMs out there. And that's when at the MDM level, if we see something out of compliance, we can go ahead and make alert on it. So what you're looking at here is we have a fake user here, Abel, who added an app, a Works app here that we have configured as a non-compliant app. So this is where we get an alert. So our CISO would get an alert based on this. Does that answer your question? Okay. Amy, any other questions?
No, that's all for now.
Okay. Cool. So we touched on centralized control, early detection, point of failure, end-to-end visibility. What I like to dig a little deeper on our ability to monitor components of your mobility infrastructure. So we touched lightly on the BlackBerry UEM. We'll go ahead and dig a little deeper in. So part of our monitoring is being able to provide a lot more information out of our system, out of your system, to the end users, or to the support engineer rather. So here we have a summary of your entire UEM core server here. So all the SRP information, the database information, the traffic, your user information is in the center column here. Gives you a fairly good snapshot of your environment. And then on this right-hand side, there's all the service information in terms of all the Windows servers or services that's running to support this particular box. We at ISEC7 also understand the need that a lot of the infrastructure that our solution and these MDM solutions are tied back to are virtualized machines. So we've taken this further step of including our virtualized monitoring the host of these VMs. So we make sure network connectivity is there, the physical memory is there, the network consumption availability, the network bandwidth, the bandwidth is available, and then then you have your processing time, your network usage. So it'll give you a fairly good idea of the health of the host and connections to said host. So we do this with a number of our MDM components. So here we have the host, the core. We can go down to the proxy cluster, gives you a fair amount of information in terms of the connections to it, and then we can drill further down into the actual server itself. And again, all the information in terms of server, the app connections, and the services on the Windows that supports this particular server, all tied back into this generalized summary here. And then again, the host information is provided here. And then for this proxy cluster, you get your connection count. So as far as if there's a network outage, you would see this right away, and you would see a steep drop off in terms of successful app connections, and then you see a sharp rise in your failed app connection. So here we have no failures. And then we also break down that information in an hourly by hourly basis below the daily charts up at the top. Then moving on to being able to see our Exchange information and your ActiveSync information. I'm going to take a look at our Exchange server. Here we see our Exchange information in terms of the server on the left-hand column, the service that this particular box is tied to. There's a number of running one and the number one of that stopped, so you get a fairly quick idea of what's going on there. And then the stats that's tied to the amount of traffic that's going across ActiveSync here in this chart. And then again, because this particular is Exchange server, so there's a lot more information. So we also break down this ActiveSync information. So we're able to see a sheer amount of volume of data coming across. We've since moved to Office 365, so this is a little barren here. But we do show some kind of traffic coming across this Exchange server over here. And then again, all the information will be summarized in an hourly by hourly basis below the chart. And then some additional information in terms of ActiveSync protocols here. Again, we have very little traffic, but here it will show up here, and you get tied back to what kind of traffic you're seeing here. Okay. So and then there's what a lot of our clients also use our solution for is being able to leverage our solution in the NOC environment. So what you're looking at is a single NOC screen for exclusively the mobility infrastructure at ISEC7. Here we have our BlackBerry AirWatch mobile iron servers here. So we have a number of warnings that across our entire infrastructure, and then across, of course, we also have Exchange here with a number of issues as well. So it's a quick list for a NOC employee to have a quick view of their mobility infrastructure. Service technician to make sure they can eliminate all these warnings, and give you a fairly good to-do list. Our solution is also able to tie into SCOM, Splunk, SolarWinds, Spectrum, ServiceNow to create tickets, or provide additional alerts on top of the emails and SMS that we currently support. Is there anything else? I think I've got touched on centralized control, early detection, end-to-end visibility, troubleshooting, overall health of elements within your infrastructure, and then an overall infrastructure status. Is there anything else that anyone would like me to cover today? Amy, in that case, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, great. That was great, you guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like to speak with us in more detail or further about ISEC7 EMM Suite, we'd be happy to reach out and talk with you. We have another webinar on April 17th on ISEC7 Mobile Exchange Delegate, an easy way to secure and share your mobile access to email. But for now, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.